It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the St. Joseph's Blue Jays head swimming coach, Coach Alex Alberta. How are you doing today?
Good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college swimming?
Yeah. So I think that all started um, when I first started coaching at the Blue Devil Aquatics swim club in New Britain, Connecticut. So I was a CCSU alumni and I swam for their club team as well growing up. So um, the head coach had reached out to me asking if I wanted to coach with their club part time while I was working in a job completely different than swimming. And I started, and I just kind of fell in love with the coaching aspect of swimming. And yeah, so it started there. I got to coach with the young kids, and then I kind of moved my way up to the senior group, and eventually the assistant coaching position at CCSU opened up, so I was able to kind of move into that role. But yeah, I mean, I can't picture myself doing anything else currently, so it all worked out great for the best.
What was that experience like for you going to Central Connecticut State and getting to swim for them?
It was a great experience. It was definitely a lot of hard work. I had never worked so hard in my life, so it was definitely a change for me and kind of a bit of a struggle at first to kind of get adjusted to the schedule of going to class and lifting and swim practice twice a day. But I can tell you it paid off. I mean, I dropped loads and loads of time swimming for CCSU. So, it was a great experience and I would never change it for anything.
How was that feeling like getting to put on that swimsuit and swim cap for them?
Definitely nerve wracking at first. But it also is like such an awesome feeling to be able to, represent a college and it's something you were recruited for that position and now you're actually on the team, so it just is very surreal to kind of put on that cap and suit for the first time and swim your first college dual meet. I definitely remember feeling overwhelmed and nervous, but the nerves subsided as the meet got started, but definitely an awesome feeling.
Getting into coaching, what was that experience like going to the Blue Devils Aquatic and getting to be their coach?
It was a great experience. I owe a lot of my skills now in coaching to that experience. I learned so much, whether it was from working with, the 8 and under kids or to our senior level kids. But I just had such a good time. And I love now, like, I still keep in touch with a lot of the kids that I started coaching when they were 8 and unders, and now they're in college and swimming. So I love following them. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. The coaching staff, we had a great time together, and we loved going to meets and swimming fast and seeing all the hard work pay off of what the kids did throughout the season. So yeah, it was just great.
How was that experience like for you going to West or Hartford and getting to be their coach there?
The West Hartford Aquatics Club. So that was good. So that I was only there for a short amount of time, but the great thing about that was when I was coaching for the West Hartford Aquatics team, they swim out of the University of St. Joseph. So that's when I found out that the USJ position opened up. So I was able to find out about that and apply for the job, and it's ideally what led me to this job today. So even though I wasn't there for a long time, I had a lot of fun. And, any coaching experience is a good experience. And, it's great now because we have a really good relationship with them. My team does some community service events with their team. So yeah, it was a great experience. And, it's what opened the doors to me being at USJ.
What was that feeling like getting to coach at your alma mater?
It was awesome. I loved it. I mean, it was 4 of the best years that I spent there. The amazing thing was that I got to coach under my college coach, Bill Ball, who is, you know, to me, one of the best coaches I've ever known. He got me to swim so fast in college, and just learning from one of the best has, really helped me in my swim career. And it just, it was amazing being able to be around a group of girls that just work so hard all the time and, just swim, we're very blue collar there. So it was a very hardworking team. And it just was a lot of fun to, train them all year and then see all that hard work pay off at the end of the year at the conference meet.
During that time, what was that transition like going from putting on the swimsuit for them and representing them to putting on the coaching polo for them?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting for sure. I mean, I was far enough removed that there wasn't a lot of, there weren't any girls on the team that were there when I swam, which I think, is a good thing. But I also felt like I was a younger female coach and these girls could relate to me a little bit because I had been through the same thing. So I think that was really great, just being able to be that person that they could relate to and be that female presence on the team that they felt comfortable coming to. But yeah, it was definitely interesting, kind of coming back into your old stomping grounds and like being a coach. I had a lot of nostalgia stepping on that pool deck as a coach for the first time, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm so glad that's where I started my college coaching career.
What were some of the main differences between your playing time and swimming to when you were a coach there?
I think so. The difference is, like there, it's kind of funny. Like I actually just had coffee with the head coach at Central a few minutes ago. So it's funny that we're talking about this because we were talking about how we're just very kind of old school coaches, and we loved that, we're all about hard work, and we understand that like hard work is what is going to get you to be the best swimmer that you can be and the best student that you can be. So it's funny because I swam for Central in 2006. So when I came back as a coach, there were still some of those sets that I remember doing that we would still do with the girls. But that's because they're sets that work and make you go faster and just get you to be a stronger athlete. But there's also like so many new things in coaching that we didn't have back then. Power tower is a huge thing. And that was kind of just coming out when I was swimming. So we didn't really have that. And it's just, funny things like tech suits. Everyone has one now. And like back then we had like one that we shared with everyone on the team. So like little differences like that, but I would say that the program is still, very blue collar, very hardworking, and just pride ourselves, or we did when I was working there, and they still do pride themselves on that hard work.
What was that feeling like coming to St. Joseph's and becoming a head coach for the first time?
It was kind of a crazy feeling. I am a coach that I think I lack a little bit of confidence in myself. However, I knew I was fully prepared. So, I had everyone in my life telling me, go for it, you can do it. So it was, really awesome to feel like that from other people. So that helped me build my confidence in myself. But, it's definitely different being a head coach. Now you're in charge of all the decisions that are made. But I'm fortunate here at USJ. I've kind of been, they kind of just let me do my thing and we, roll with it. And I'm responsible for my program. And, it's been great so far. We've made a lot of progress. But yeah, definitely a crazy feeling going from an assistant to a head coach.
For you, what was that feeling like the first time you got to step onto that pool deck as a head coach?
Yeah, that was really cool. I just remember, you know, when they announced the beginning of the meet and they say like the Blue Jays are led by head coach Alex Albert, it's just kind of a crazy feeling to know like, wow, this is my program. But it was awesome. It definitely, I look back on it now and I feel like even it's only been 3 years since I've been a head coach, but I definitely have learned so much from in those 3 years. And I definitely am so much more confident in myself now. Um, but yeah, definitely nerve wracking. It's almost like stepping on that pool deck as a swimmer for the first time. And nerve wracking, but overwhelming. But I was welcomed with such open arms by everyone here and everyone in our conference. So yeah, it's been great.
What does a typical swim meet look like for you as a head coach versus for your athletes?
Yeah, so my athletes, so I have about 25 athletes on my team currently. So, I'm very much about, we represent ourselves as one team. So when we get to the meet, we do a team stretch. Well, I don't do it obviously because I'm the coach, but my athletes know we start with a team stretch, we do a team warm up, we do a team cool down. So very much about, being one unit when we're at meets. And I'm the same as a coach. I am involved in all that. So I'm not one of those coaches that'll just kind of let them go and do their thing. I will stand there and I will lead warm up with them. They can go do their stretches on their own, but my assistant coach Destiny is, she kind of leads that. But yeah, just making sure that, everyone's up on their feet. Like I'm up on my feet cheering and taking splits and just making sure that although, I know my swimmers need to rest, but cheering on their teammates and motivating each other and just making it known that we're a team and that we're there for each other.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you built for St. Joseph's swimming program?
Yeah, so I think when I got here, that was something that was kind of lacking in the program. We had just the school had just added a men's team, so it was very new. And the girls' team was a decent size, but it also was, there wasn't really a team culture established. So I very much established that from the beginning that, we are always at practice. We attend every meet. We are a family and we are there for each other and we work hard all year. I'm not a coach that, we don't rest for dual meets. It's fun to win, but I use the whole season as training for the end. So we're very much, I've tried to carry that blue collar culture over to USJ. We're definitely getting there. It's nice to finally have almost a full team of my recruited athletes. So I can kind of recruit to what I'm looking for in a team. But yeah, it's, we're just very hardworking and, the kids have bought in and they're just doing a really good job. And we make sure to show up on time. Well, early is, we say here, early is on time is late. But yeah, just making sure that we look presentable and as like one unit and we're there for each other.
Being a new head coach, what has that been like, as you said, bringing in a men's program that previously only was a women's program?
Yeah, it's definitely been tricky at times because, you're recruiting, it's, you're having recruits come and you see a program that's fairly small. So it's sometimes hard as an athlete to picture that program growing. But fortunately, I think the male swimmers that I brought in are really, they're great swimmers and they love to work hard. Excuse me. And I think the recruits coming in are seeing that now and being able to see a future for this program. So yeah, it's definitely been tricky at times, but we're definitely building. And I had 6 freshmen men for this year, and I hope to get that again next year and just kind of build a solid program.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So we are in the GNAC conference. So we compete against Norwich University, Elms College, Albertus Magnus, St. Joe's of Maine, and Regis College and Simmons women's team. So that's our conference. It's a bit of a small conference, but the teams have definitely been growing over the past couple of years, which is great.
What is that like having teams like St. Joseph, Maine coming to your home facility to swim?
Well, it's funny because I always joke. So our pool in St. Joe's Maine pool, although they're like 4 hours apart, they're the same exact pool. So we must have had like the same builder build our pools 20 years ago. So it's almost like we're on the same campus. But yeah, I mean, St. Joe's Maine is always been, a team that I respect. I really respect their head coach, Jared. And it's definitely going to be an interesting meet this year. We lost to them last year, but I feel like it'll be a little bit closer this year, and it'll be a really good meet to watch.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective swimmers out there?
Yeah, so at USJ, a typical recruiting visit, I tend to like to bring students in on a weekday, typically in groups with other prospective student athletes, because I think it's important to kind of get an idea of maybe what your class will look like when you get here. So I love to bring them in on a weekday if possible. That way they can sit in on a class here at USJ. We have a big nursing population here, and we have an amazing nursing learning lab. And so like being able for those nursing students to see that is always important to me, as well as all the other majors here that we have too. Seeing, where their classes will be, what their classes are like. So we always make sure to do that. And then typically we have the recruits come in and sit in on a practice and a weightlifting session. And then if they choose to stay overnight, they'll stay overnight with one of our athletes in the dorms.
What do you look at as a head coach in those prospective student athletes when recruiting?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And that's something I've always been asked in my interviews as well. Excuse me, sorry. This tickle just came on out of nowhere. I typically look for that team player, someone who, wants to better themselves as an athlete, but also is going to do what's in the best interest of the team. Someone who might swim an off event at a meet because it's going to help us win, or, someone who will, I don't know, volunteer at this thing because it's going to make us look like we're going to, just doing things that make us, the family that we are. We recently just did something with the West Hartford aquatics team. So the 8 and unders that swim out of here had never swam a meet before. So we kind of ran a mock meet, and all of my athletes helped run the meet. And just seeing the way that they got involved and like helped out, and I didn't have to ask them to do anything. They were just on the sidelines having a great time. And that's the kind of athlete I look for. The person that's gonna, enjoy those type of things that we do, but also, work hard in the pool and just be, respectful.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that swim cap and swim uniform for the first time?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely very relatable because, like I told you earlier, it can be very nerve-wracking. I mean, there's you you think of a college dual meet and people are like, oh, it's kind of just like a high school meet, but no, it's not. It's so different and it's just so much more nerve-wracking and overwhelming. Um, so I can definitely like relate and sympathize with them that they're going to feel overwhelmed. They're going to feel, nervous and scared, but it's also, a sense of pride seeing that these kids that I've been talking to since their junior year of high school have now become one of mine and are representing USJ.
Is that like as a head coach seeing them put on that swim cap and swim uniform for the last time as seniors?
Yeah, that's definitely emotional. I can tell you one thing that so when I was at CCSU, I was there for 4 years. So I saw a full class go through. Um and I've been lucky enough that my assistant now, Destiny Johnson, was one of my swimmers at CCSU, who I started when she was a freshman and I left when she was after her senior year. So I got to watch her. And I just remember seeing her put on the cap for the last time and getting up on the block and just being like, oh my gosh, I've known this young lady for 4 years. And the difference in her confidence, like stepping up on the block as a senior then stepping up on the block as a freshman is just wild. So it's definitely an emotional experience. I wish I could keep them all forever, but I know they have to move on. But just knowing that you had a part in that career and that you helped them become that confident version of themselves is just an incredible feeling.
As a head coach, what is that like seeing the freshmen and seniors putting it on for the first and last time versus seeing them putting on their coaching uniform for the first time after their career?
Yeah, so that's awesome. I love when former swimmers of mine get into the coaching world because it's just I love it so much. I just have been someone who like I the feeling when you walk onto a pool deck as a coach and you see other coaches that you've known for so long who are still coaching and then there's that new class of coaches in of kids that maybe you coach, like I just love that. I love going to meets to recruit because I get to see old friends all the time or see my old coaches. So it's just like a very proud moment when a swimmer of mine decides to become a coach. It makes me feel like I did something right, that they want to be maybe like me a little bit. So definitely very proud.
What are some of your future plans for the swimming program moving forward?
Yeah, so definitely grow our men's side. We're still small right now, but we're getting a lot of interest, which is great. And talking to a few really talented swimmers. And just I would love to have a solid group of both men and women moving forward. Um, my goal would to be to take someone to NCAA's. To be able to be a coach on that deck would be, a head coach on that deck would be awesome. So just making building and getting faster and just enjoying the team and making sure that they're enjoying themselves and bonding and just having fun with it really.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college swimming?
I would tell them to not get overwhelmed. It's a lot. So one thing that I always stress to my athletes is that like it's almost impossible to enter college athletics and start college classes and start weightlifting and all of that and not feel stressed. So I always have an open door policy with my athletes. So if anyone's ever feeling overwhelmed or like they can't do it, like just come and talk to me. We'll talk it through. There's always an answer. So um, and yeah, and I just give them advice that it's going to be hard, like it's supposed to be hard, and just push through it, and you'll be able to do it. And one of the best advice that I've ever received from my old boss, Bill Ball at CCSU. He says the best thing about a freshman is that they become a sophomore. So I always say that because freshman year, like if you made it through freshman year, you can make it through the rest. So that's just, you know, just you can get through it, and just talk to your coaches if you feel overwhelmed, and yeah, and it'll be okay.
What advice would you give those college juniors transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
Yeah, so that's something that we just kind of went through with my team. So I previously, before this season, didn't have captains, but now that we're in a role with some really good leaders on the team, I have made captains. So I just kind of stress to them, like, you've done this for 3 or 4 years, and these other athletes really look up to you. So just make sure you're making good decisions, motivate each other, be there for your teammates when they need it. Yeah, and then I tell them too, like, if someone is doing something negative that's affecting the team, like, make sure, like, call them out about it. They're going to learn from the seniors. So yeah, just having confidence going into that senior year. I know it can be a lot, especially if you're putting on that captain hat. But yeah, just having the confidence to lead our program through.
What advice would you give those players out there that have that aspirations of making it to the national team to represent US or Canada?
Yeah, so just, if you have a goal in mind, you just got to work hard, and you got to manage your time, and you might have to put some some things aside for now. So like I tell my athletes here, college swimming is, if you sign on to be on this team, like, this is one of your priorities. You're going to have to say no to social gatherings with friends. You're going to have to say no to certain family dinners because you're going to have to be at practice. So I think anyone just taking that to the next level is going to have to follow through with that, and just work hard, and you'll get those goals.
What advice would you give those future college coaches out there looking to get started in coaching in college swimming?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I'm very fortunate. I had a lot of experience prior to my head coaching job, and I felt very prepared once I got into my new role as head coach. So my advice would be, like, say yes to all those jobs because they're all going to help. Like, prior to this, when I was coaching for Blue Devil Aquatics, I was working full time, and then I was coming to coach at night, and I just felt like there was no end in sight where I was going to have any free time. But I worked my way up the ladder, and then I got a head coaching position. So it's just, saying yes to those experiences, and just no matter what level it is, or no matter how fast the swimmers are, or, it's going to prepare you for your role as a head coach. So I've always just said, like, you're going to have to start at the bottom and make your way up. And that's exactly what I did.
What advice would you give those future head coaches out there looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Yeah, so, I think an important thing is to determine, like, what your coaching philosophy is, and stick with that throughout your career. I am somebody who really stresses hard work, and and my kids know, like, coach expects us to work hard, and she's not gonna rest us because we have a dual meet tomorrow, and she's not gonna back off because we might win against this team. So yeah, I just think, discovering who you are as a coach, and sticking with that.
Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program at?
Yes, so you can find, let me just make sure I have it right. So USJ Swim and Dive, we have an Instagram. It is USJ_swim dive. So you can find that, or you can find my Instagram is Albert4488. And yeah, so our swim and dive Instagram, I hand that off to my athletes because they're so much better at all that social media stuff, but I monitor it. But yeah, if anyone ever has any questions about the program, they can send a message through there, or my email is albert@usj.edu.
Thank you again, Coach Alex Albert, for your interview, and best luck in your future at St. Joseph's Blue Jays as the head swimming coach.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It was great to talk with you.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Alex, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.